Welcome back. Welcome in to the Lions Share podcast post Thanksgiving edition after Lions versus Bears. Happy Thanksgiving to all the shareholders. We hope you all had a great one with your family. We are back now on the airwaves to discuss Lions Bears. Lions get their first win on Thanksgiving since 2016. We all could have been a little bit happier on the table for Thanksgiving, but the injuries continue to pile up. The Lions are now 11-1 despite all the adversity that they've faced this year, but the injuries do continue to pile on. And the loss was so bad for the Bears, they fired their head coach, who was Eberflus. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about two big, maybe not so big signings for the defense as the Lions continue to patch the holes that have been left by all these injuries. So what did you guys make of Lions Bears, and how was your Thanksgiving? How did we all take in this game?
Thanksgiving was great. Haven't had a Lions win in obviously a long time. Food's always incredible. I don't know. The win kind of made me feel meh. I wanted a Thanksgiving win to feel sweeter, but
Yeah.
the way that the game ended and the injuries, it's just like it just feels like we're on borrowed time right now, and it kind of stings.
Yeah, it felt like more of a relief than anything, didn't you think, Andrew?
Oh, 100%. And just, another one of those victories where it's like bittersweet. You get the W, but you lose some more guys in it. And, we're kind of coming out of the weaker point in the season. Jags, Colts, Bears. Now we're really ramping up. Bears was divisional, so it's a little bit tougher. But now you're really ramping up to it. You got the Pack this week. We've still got the Vikings on the schedule, and I don't know if you got it pulled up here in front of me. You can remind me of the
Don't
rest.
forget about the Bills, who could be the best team in the
There we
AFC
go.
or the NFL.
Excuse
so that's
me
a
on
huge
that one.
matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So coming into the teeth of it.
Yeah, 5 games kind of in that home stretch of the season, the last third of the season. And it's not the time where you want to be as banged up as they are. You never want to be this banged up, but you kind of hope when you're this banged up, you have a bye week in sight. And right now, it doesn't look like that. And they didn't get any help from the other teams in the NFC this week to have a easier path to that 1 seed. They control their own destiny right now with only 1 loss, but Philly right back with only 2 losses, and Minnesota right there with both of those teams winning today. That we were really hoping that we'd get some help there, and we did not. So the path doesn't get any easier after that, especially with the stretch that they have that you alluded to, Andrew. But they did win. They did beat the Bears 23-20. We were all very close in our predictions. I was at 24-21. Andrew, you were right lockstep with me. You also had 24-21. Mitch, you had 31-20. We were all right there. Combine our scores, we pretty much had it. So that's the high-level analysis that you'll where's the button?
High-level analysis.
That you come to know and expect from this year podcast. So we all hope that you had a good one. It was certainly exciting. It was certainly a diaper game between the Lions and the Bears. Didn't seem like it needed to be, but a game that had a little bit of everything, and everyone kind of felt weird at the end of it because it was like, is this really over? Just the way it ended was incredible. And I know that, probably 40 million people were watching that game. So it was a big one in the spotlight. They obviously had some injuries in that game as well. And they didn't have Decker, didn't have Carlton Davis in that, so that played into it as well. But what did you guys got here in the opening segments? Andrew, you've got DJ Reader getting that turkey. Is that you?
Was that me?
I don't know.
It wasn't me.
That must have been a me thing. Did you guys see it though?
He
He got
demolished
the
that thing.
sloppiest piece of turkey that he possibly could have gotten. Like Goff gave it to him, it's just dangling all over the place.
Well, he reminded me of the guy from Office Space that he's worried he's not going to get a slice of cake. He was sticking his hand out there trying to get a leg. Goff's passing all around him. And then finally Goff just rips one to shreds for him. Oh, he looked like he was in heaven.
Got a turkey leg and a game ball. Good for DJ.
Yeah, it's certainly his best game as a Lion. I definitely seen he had a cool speech afterwards about, back in the spring, he didn't know what condition he was going to be in for this season, and he was happy to be here and happy to be in Detroit. So that's great. When you first put that note in, Andrew, I thought maybe he had 3 sacks on the day. I was like, I think he only had 2 sacks on the day. Did he get a third that I didn't remember? And that's what you were alluding to with the turkey leg. But I get it now, the turkey after the game. So, yeah, he had 2 sacks, two TFLs, and 3 QB hits.
I mean, he almost got that turkey. I tell you what, though, and you guys were saying, him not knowing where he was going to be. As far as like bringing guys in and not building from within, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but Za'Darius, I love the sack late, but I don't know if he's my favorite Lion right now, guys.
Ooh, highest graded defender according to PFF. Your favorite,
which is crazy. I mean, he had 1.5 sacks, 3 QB hits. He's certainly his best game as a Lion, but still, I know what you're saying, Andrew. Like body language, more like that, more effort. It's kind of in question, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, Max Crosby does the same thing, and maybe it's just because these guys are so big that they jump off the screen and you see them on every single play. And maybe that's it, right? But it just seems like, if he thinks he's out of the play, he's not going to hustle into it. He's not going to do the little things. And that seems like to be what Dan preaches. But I mean, Mitch, you're Mr. Ride or Die by the PFF numbers. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw some of the same stuff. I think we were texting, and it's just like the one play where he clearly, like, his injuries, it's like, nah, dude, you're tired. Like, you're just gassed. So it's a little interesting. I do like PFF because I feel like they are breaking down the all 22 all the time, whereas we pick on a few plays. Like, we see the sack and a half, and we see the lackadaisical at the end of the play. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's obviously added the pass rush element that they needed without having to blitz all the time. So he's done his job for sure since he's gotten here.
Yeah, look, he stepped up in a big way, especially with the 2 interior guys going down with Levi and who's the other one? Pascal. Yeah, and Mekhi Wingo's down for the year. Yeah, which is a crazy thing. We'll talk about that in a minute, but. To allude to transition ourselves, speaking of the All-22, you guys want to talk about the little JMO incident that we had this week with the penalty for throwing the ball at a crucial point in the game?
Boys, part of me absolutely loves it because it was so clean and so smooth. But god damn it, JMO was just so situationally unaware. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, obviously, Ben, like I put the note in there. I said, is J-Mo ready to be a pro? I'm just kind of like we were just singing his praises, making tough catches, hanging onto the ball. But like, I hate to sound like the grumpy old curmudgeon, but like, I'm kind of getting sick of the mess up. Oh no, he apologized. We're good. Mess up. Nah, he knows. He's straight. It's growing. I'm kind of tired of the growing up and maturing. Like, such a crucial part in the game, and that's what you do. Like, that's just so crazy to me, and I'm glad he got benched. I'm glad that we saw Allen Robinson get some playing time after that, because I just think that is inexcusable. And not only the penalty, but arguing with Randall on the sideline is just like makes it so much worse to me. And Randall just like giving it to him, like, no, dude, don't want to hear it.
Straight dad mode from Antoine. That was pretty great to see. Andrew, I get what you're saying too. It's just perfect. Like the little toss right at the head. And I love that that's the safety too, that who famously in the Commanders game was waving to the crowd when they lost on the Hail Mary. So like that wrinkle of it too makes it great too. Like part of me does love it, but the situation that they are in a crucial point could have very well played a huge part into that game. So that part, obviously a downgrade. I guess my leash is maybe a little longer than you guys. I don't want to say I'm okay with it because the situation was not the time to do it, obviously, and there's never really a time to do it. But he did get tripped, and that's what I was alluding to when I saw the All-22. The All-22, if you haven't seen it, folks, shareholders, pull it up because it sheds a little light on he. In my opinion, he very much stuck his leg out to trip him, and yes, his retaliation shouldn't be to throw the ball at his face. But I don't know. I don't want to make excuses for JMO, but it does change my view on it a little bit, maybe, but still situationally not smart.
Yeah, and I think Mitchell phrased this like perfectly too. Is he ready to be a pro? I mean, at what point do these college athletes not need to come into the NFL ready to be a pro? Right? Like, he had essentially a season off to get healthy and become a pro and learn how to do it. But yeah, it was just perfect, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
and the guy's jawing in his face, and he probably, maybe he tripped him. He stepped on his foot regardless, right? And JMO's mad that he could have turned his ankle, and they're jawing. But JMO, you gotta, like, that's it. You gotta learn to be a pro, man. Just jaw him back and run back to the play.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, he had those Grinch cleats on him. He's wearing the My Cleats, My Claws, whatever. It's a December, so they can wear the crazy ones. Sonic and Knuckles obviously had theirs on.
Those were
so
cool.
It was great to see. Yeah, they were very cool. Mitch, I know you wrote that, is he ready to be a pro, in your notes right after the game. So with a couple days removed, do you still feel the same about this?
Yeah, I mean, the rope is just gone for me. Like,
Yeah,
you
okay.
just can't keep doing these knuckle-headed things, especially when, even though it doesn't feel like it, he should be considered a veteran at this point.
Right.
Like, I mean, he's at that point. Obviously, he didn't play his first year, but, like, didn't play his first year, suspension, and then, like, you're just in this crucial, like, he didn't get in trouble for the gun thing, but it's like, I don't know, it's it can be hypocritical because we hold these guys to such a high standard, but it is at the end of the day a higher standard, as it should be. I mean, these guys are making a ton of money. Yeah, Andrew, like, yeah. So, yeah, I still feel the same. I just, like, the on-field production is getting better and better, but these distractions that he's bringing all the time are very anti-Dan Campbell.
Yeah, that you just summed it up very well with that point. I mean, we saw what CJ DJ was last year, and just didn't fit. He was a puzzle piece that didn't fit in this system, and we'll get to Jamal Adams in a little bit, but it is uncharacteristic of this team, a team that is so clean on and off the field, and to have this guy, you're always going to have that guy, especially at the wide receiver position. They call it the diva wide receiver for a reason, and we saw Keenan Allen on the other side throw the football at the ref too. So it does happen. He's certainly a veteran. He's been in this league for a long time, and he's bald now, so he's certainly a veteran.
Yeah, I know you have that down in the notes, but Keenan Allen is so mad that like millions of people on Thanksgiving now know that he's bald. That's why he's pissed.
Who is it? Is it King Neptune? King Neptune from SpongeBob, who wears the crown always in the SpongeBob movie, and he's bald, so he's wearing the crown all the time because of that, right? And when it falls off, doesn't the guy go bald, bald, bald? That's what I'm seeing with Keenan Allen. I don't want to pick on Keenan because bald is beautiful,
and that was just kind of bizarre. Like, at the end of the game to kind of freak out like that. Once again, situationally, like, unaware right there. What is going on with these guys?
Situationally,
I just, like, to me, the two plays that the Bears complained about the most, that one with Keenan Allen, and then the Caleb Williams hit, like, dude, you went down so awkwardly. You, like, kind of gave your body up, but you didn't, like, him trying to, like, it was funky. Like, it was just funky. Like, obviously, you'd like to avoid that kind of hit. What are you talking about, dude? Either slide or try to break the tackle. Don't wait until the last possible second and, like, kind of not slide, but really just kind of, like, crumple your body. And then you're mad that you got hit in the thigh. I was so perplexed by that.
Yeah, no words for me, really.
Yeah, that one was tough too, because after replay, his helmet comes across his hip and slides down in front of his hip. So, I mean, it's just the way he fell, where his legs got folded up underneath him. But I think what he had said, that he was mad that he didn't just push him out of bounds. If that's the case and that's what you're going to argue, then it's the legitimate argument of our quarterback's just two-hand touch.
It's getting to that point.
Because that's just crazy. You can't make a football move, and just expect not to be hit. Like, the Kenny Pickett fake slide may have just, that not being penalized may have had like subtle repercussions that we won't see the end of it.
Yeah, and that comes on a day where, well, not comes on today. We saw also what happened with Trevor Lawrence in the Texans game. He takes a massive hit, and so it's like that's nowhere near the level of what Caleb Williams. And so how can you even be upset as Caleb Williams? He's not doing himself any favors when what he's saying to the media. In that instance, in any of them, didn't he also in the post game say, "Oh yeah, I forgot we had a timeout too"? Or not? I'm paraphrasing, but
yeah, he said, if you have a timeout, take one. Or we said, no, wait. Oh, didn't have a timeout. Actually, yeah, we did. The guy's a moron. Isn't his dad his manager? He wanted a stock in the team or ownership in the team he was drafted to. He wasn't gonna can't talk. He wasn't gonna compete in the combine because it could only hurt. Like, this guy is an absolute franchise killer. Get him off your team, Bears.
yeah, the Bears got a lot of going on. I mean, you can put a lot of the blame on Eberflus, but Caleb's got to take a lot of that blame too. It's just a broken system on something that you should be running through at the end of every practice. Your 2-minute situation, you're under with timeouts, without timeouts, spike the ball. That was inexcusable, and Eberflus certainly didn't do himself any favors in his post game either. Just probably the worst answers you could have come up with. I mean, at that point, it almost seemed like he wanted to be fired. It was. I was perplexed to take Mitch's word right there. That was not how I thought that game was going to end in any way.
That's kind of like conspiracy theory. I feel like he did want to get fired because he's just been like everything that's happened the last several weeks. He's just like, no, we did it right. No, I'm confident in what we're doing. Like, and they have been close. Like, you can tell that the talent is there. Like, it has been the coaching that's holding them back. There's no doubt, but it's just really weird. I think he legitimately did just want it to be over.
Yeah, they fired the OC like, what was it, a couple weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, maybe at this point. It's been a little bit, and that certainly didn't help. They're on a 7-game losing streak now at this point, so that wasn't the answer. But he was probably the sacrificial lamb before Eberflus goes down. But yeah, to your point, Mitch, it did feel like that. It's just the blank stare at the end, just like he didn't want to be there. Maybe Caleb Williams and him, just not a match made in heaven, and we'll see who they bring in. I've got it down further in the notes. Obviously, people will float out the idea of Ben Johnson being the next head coach for the Bears. But also, did you guys hear that Cliff Kingsbury could be the next one? They're reunited with Caleb Williams.
If the Bears do go get Cliff Kingsbury for that, it just proves how dumb of a franchise the Bears are. Cliff Kingsbury is not head coach material. We saw it in Arizona.
But his relationship with Caleb Williams, I think, is the draw there.
I don't think it's worth it to give him the keys to the kingdom.
Hey, so, he takes a year or two off of coaching after the Cardinals, went over to Japan for a little bit. Maybe he found himself.
Thought it was Thailand.
Thanks. I think you're right on that one. Pretty sure you're right, actually. But yeah, that was the difference maker in the game, obviously, was the coaching. Dan Campbell team versus Eberflus, and if they had anybody else at the head coaching position, they may have found themselves victorious or at least taken that game to overtime. So lucky break there for the Lions. It certainly didn't need to be that close, and it's a survive and advance kind of week for the Lions. You're going to have those. We've seen the Chiefs struggle. We've seen every team struggle at some point this season. It doesn't matter who they are, any given Sunday, any given Thursday. Doesn't matter if it's Thanksgiving or not. But so you're going to have these games, but a little too close for our comfort. And the touchdown streak, boys, it ends. The defense gave up some scores this week. They gave up 20, and the touchdown streak ends at 12 quarters. So three full games worth over a couple stretches of games there. We knew it was going to end. We didn't know it was going to end against the Bears. We didn't hope it would, but that ends, and also no turnovers. So they continue to drop on the turnover ranks. They're down to 7th in the league with, I think this is 2 weeks straight without a turnover, right? They didn't have any last week either.
And Dan was mad about it too. He was hungry. He kept saying, we got to win that turnover battle. We got to go get at least one every game. He was mad about it.
As he should. We've seen this team be in the top 3 in defense in terms of takeaways, and a little lackluster showing here. A couple opportunities again to pick off Williams that game against them, but didn't ever happen. In terms of our over unders, we had Caleb Williams. I don't know if we were all over 50. Mitch, you might have been under. You may have taken the under. I think Andrew and I took the over there.
I zagged you guys.
Nice. So he ends the day with 39 yards rushing. I think you'll take that against Caleb Williams on that defense, especially without Anza out there and among others, obviously. I think you'll take 39 yards. We saw a little bit more of Cahill Dorsey than Vildor. Vildor was out there at times, but Dorsey got a little bit more playing time. I thought that was the right move. This is something that we didn't talk about, but I've got it in the notes. We saw some David Long Jr. out there getting more involved in the action. Do you guys have any thoughts on what we're seeing from the backup linebacker who's come in, David Long Jr.?
He blended in, so that's good. I saw him on a couple plays, on a couple tackles. Love to see that, but as far as like not screwing up, he blends in, so that's good on my part.
Looked like he was moving fast. I don't know if he screwed up, but he was moving fast. And if that's the thing, hey, if you're gonna screw up, do it fast.
That's Mitch. I'm glad you said that. It's kind of exactly what I was thinking too with David Long. Yeah, he was moving fast out there and ends the day with 2 tackles, but I think he's making himself more and more involved, and hopefully he can continue to be proactive in that position until Anzalone and others come back, and we'll touch on Kwon Alexander coming in as well. So continue to add more depth and rotate guys in and out of those packages.
Yeah, and what about that? I don't know his first name, but that Muhammad guy at the DN slot. He looked
next
like a
up on my
stud
list.
there.
He did want to steal your verbiage, Andrew. He blended in there, and he's a big guy. I mean, Muhammad, number 69 out there, he's 6'3". I mean, he's all of 6'3". He looks like he could be taller than Za'Darius, who's 6'4". And you're right, Andrew. They need him to be like that every game. If he can be that every game, this D line can afford that for sure. Because some of these guys, Mekhi Wingo done for the season. Reader playing his best ball as a Lion, that's great too. We need him to continue to play that way. And Paschal and Levi getting banged up in that game. We don't know the extent of them for the next couple weeks, but certainly some minor injuries. But need these guys to step up. This next man mentality continues to be their adage, and it's going to have to be over the stretch here as they lose some others. So that was the defense. The offense, Jared, 21 of 34 for 221, 2 touchdowns. No interceptions. Got sacked only one time. Penei Sewell threw a pass. That was fun. Or went out to throw a pass. Did not throw the pass.
Weird.
Was really hoping for that. David Montgomery and Gibbs nearly mirrored each other, 88 and 87 from them on the rushing attack. So Andrew, if you're ready for it, I'll tell you the updated totals on your prediction, which was 2 rushers above 1,000 yards. Monty at 720 now. So he had a big week there, nearing 100 yards, one of his better weeks. Gibbs, 923. So within striking distance of achieving that against the Packers. And that puts him at 4th in the league. He's climbed that ladder last couple weeks.
Yeah, and as we knew it, Monty was going to be the tough one in the yardage department.
And going against his old team, the Bears, maybe a little bit more elevated. Both those guys not finding the end zone. That was uncharacteristic that one of them, if not both of them, didn't find the end zone. In terms of the receiving attack, St. Brown was 73 yards on the day. He was the leading one. Tim Patrick, 2 catches, 2 big catches, by the way, 48 yards. David Montgomery, 3. Jameson, 5 catches, a little lower in the yardage, 28. And 1 big penalty. And 1 big hurdle, too. Can't forget about the hurdle. That was pretty cool.
The hurdle was nice.
The hurdle was nice. Something to get the fans excited on Thanksgiving. America watching. He had that on his mind. And then the Gibbs fumble, man. To touch back on Sonic and Knuckles. That's just something. I don't know how you guys felt about it initially, but to me it was like, oh yeah, this team can turn the ball over. I mean, we've seen Jared throw his share of interceptions, especially against the Texans, but only their second fumble on the year. It felt like, oh wow, I couldn't remember the last time they fumbled. And they put up that graphic that it was only the second time in the year, and I thought, man, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, Monty's the one who's been coughing it up, putting it on the ground. Gibbs almost never. a little weird to see it happen, and then he follows it up with the blackboard stuff here and letting their play calls out. So we'll see what happens with Gibbs. Maybe he gets benched a little bit, like they did
Stop
with
the
Jamal here.
madness.
Hey
Stop,
man, they
stop,
might sit him
stop,
down for a
stop,
half. You
stop.
never
That's
know.
crazy.
Give me
I've heard
Craig.
people float that around.
No chance. The timing of that was unfortunate because that felt like one that was like maybe would have been the difference maker in the game, but it's like you can't be mad at it because it's part of the game and he doesn't do it. Like it's just like, oh god, that's just a momentum killer. The
Yeah.
whiteboard stuff is unfortunate. I know that's probably we're gonna talk about that later, but if they bench him for that, that's crazy. I mean, you got one guy driving around with a gun in his car, so let's measure things up here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they do about that situation. Dan touched on it again in his press conference today. I talked to you guys about it. He first was asked about it, I think Friday or Saturday, and
He goes-
Dan
he just goes,
acted.
Who?
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Shout
I
out to
didn't
our
know about
YouTube
that.
to watch Mitch do. That was a perfect reenactment of Dan right there. That was exactly what what he did with his body language
Yeah.
there. So basically he said he didn't know about it or claimed he didn't know about it, and then today he said he wasn't going to talk about it anymore. It's done.
Mitch, since that one was so good, can you do his giving the game ball to DJ Reader impression as well?
I was gonna try to do it earlier, but I don't know. This is just like Mr. DJ Reader. Like I don't know how he did it. He just got so low and like sultry. It was awesome.
That was perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, it was one of those days, uncharacteristic things, fumble from Gibbs, and then of course we all had Bates missing a field goal for the first time this year. Hadn't missed one all year. Jim Nance with the announcer jinx, the classic jinx, classic from him and Romo. Romo got him on that. That was pretty funny. But yeah, it was just one of those days, short week. Those things sometimes happen, like you said, Mitch. Those things sometimes happen, but good thing that we did have happen. Sam Laporta, 3 catches, 6 yards. Very small in that department, but 2 touchdowns. Found the end zone twice. That was great to see that connection again. It's been so long since we've seen Sammy get 2, and a year where he's had a little bit of a sophomore slump. So hopefully gets himself more involved in this offense. They need him out there, that offense, and been putting up so many points, and this week only 23. So hopefully they can get themselves back against the Packers, that get themselves back involved in the 30-point conversation. That would be great to see. But Chicago's defense was pretty solid and was bending but not breaking a lot. And last thing in special teams, obviously Bates was 3 for 4 on the day, did have that one miss. But let's talk about that Fox punt late in that game. That was incredible. It's always incredible for Mr. Fox, but the coverage, wow, that was a little close for comfort on that back line, or not the back line, but the goal line, with his heel just so close. I think that was Dorsey, was it not? Man, that was close. And Dorsey has, you can tell that, he doesn't spot where he's at, and maybe he just feels it, but he's way too close to that line. Got to be more aware.
It was one of those things too live where I was like, "Oh no, he's got plenty of room. You could see some green. He's good." And then it seemed like they were just going to ride with it and just call it, and then you're like, "No, they're going to look at it further." And then it can go any way. When they take a look at it, they can legitimately just make up whatever they want. Well, this is what we saw. You didn't see it.
Well, and to that point, his heel kind of, as he plants, it kind of tilts back, and it's like, oh my god, it might have touched a couple white grass pieces there. It was very close, and one that you kind of dip back into that same old Lions feeling mentality and thinking, oh, here we go, ball is going to go to the 25. Here we go again. It's just that close, game of inches. But wow, yeah, I mean, it was huge. And then Keenan Allen right after that has his big penalty. After it looked like they may have called a face mask initially, he gets the unsportsmanlike. So that was huge. Let's talk injuries. Paschal went down, Levi, Rodrigo done for the year. And so the Lions have done the following. They've signed Kwon Alexander, who was a stud at one time, And they've also signed Miles Adams from another practice squad on the D-line to just give more depth there. Same with Jonah Williams off of the Rams practice squad, another D lineman there. And then the big signing, somewhat big, Jamal Adams. So Jamal, if you want to talk about this, Jamal Adams and Kwon Alexander, this would be huge signings if this was 2017. Kwon, these would be huge signings if it was 2017.
I mean, they probably don't move like they used to, but at the end of the day, like, getting some guys that know what they're supposed to be doing out there, and Jamal Adams can be a little bit of a question mark, I think, as far as locker room presence. But yeah, just having the veterans out there that are going to understand the game, know what they're supposed to be doing, help guide the young guys. It's just so tough. Like, Rodrigo stings quite a bit because he was playing well. He just got back and he was playing so well. That's so tough.
Yeah, and that linebacker room was pretty deep at the start of this. I mean, the whole defense was pretty deep, and now it's just seemingly there's just holes all over, especially in that linebacker core. Just can't stay healthy out there. Jack Campbell, please stay healthy. Andrew, I thought you had something
Andrew.
there. I really thought you had
What do
something
you
there. I
want
was
me to
looking
say,
at you.
man? We got like legitimately names that we were talking about in the preseason going, I don't really know why we're having a conversation. It's not like we're ever gonna see him. And now they're like guys that are seeing 15 to 20 plus plays a game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And they're on a 10-game win streak.
That's the craziest part about all this. You got Ben Neiman playing a lot of meaningful time. Pat O'Connor, Ezekiel Turner. I mean, it's hard to believe. And if you look at, the pictures that I've sent you guys, just the depth chart to start the year and what they're dealing with now. I mean, their defensive line is completely wiped out. Both ends, Marcus Davenport, Aiden Hutchinson. And so it's just getting thin out there. So you feel a little insurance with Alexander and Adams. These guys will be brought onto the practice squad. And so don't know if these guys will even pan out. That's the nice part about this. You bring them on the practice squad, you can evaluate them, see if they're ready mentally and physically, and then you can elevate them and potentially play meaningful football as soon as next week against the Packers. I think Dan alluded to Alexander being a little bit easier ramp just from the defense that he comes from, and so he's a little bit more in tune with what they do down there in Detroit. And so he may be more available and see more playing time. Jamal Adams, who knows? That one signed today. It's names that Brad and Dan probably wouldn't go after in a normal season, but it kind of forced their hand here with all the injuries, and you just kind of got to do it. And I give him kudos to being aggressive here in the market as it's not going to get any easier, like we alluded to at the top with the 5 games remaining and then the playoffs. You're gonna need these insurance pieces and people to play these roles if you want to be competitive and do win that Super Bowl that we're all hoping for. So yeah, I mean, these are big names at one time. If they can have anything left in the tank, show us anything like they did back in their prime, Lions are gonna be in a good position. So that's exciting, at least in the short term. We'll know more about them after their evaluation period here. Band Player of the Week. You guys want to talk about that? Looks like we may be in unison here, boys. You want to talk about Caleb and Eberfluk being our favorites this week, really helping out the Lions to win this one.
I mean, what more needs to be said? It's just so crazy. It's still just unbelievable to me that's how the game ended. I think, what did Terry Bradshaw say right after? I could have got 4 plays off in 32 seconds. It's tough.
That sounds like Terry.
I mean, the Lions maybe didn't win this game, but they definitely avoided overtime because of Matt Eberflus. So it has to go to him.
Yeah. Who's to say what would have happened in overtime? I believe the Lions probably still would have found a way to win their second overtime game of the year after they beat the Rams in overtime. But yeah, thanks to them.
On top of that, too, was that 2 challenges that were unsuccessful? Or did he get one of them?
I don't remember. He may have gotten the second one. Certainly didn't get the first one. That one was, we were all reacting in our group chat about after the expedited review, he challenges it anyway. I mean, it was a big play, but yeah, it was very questionable. I don't know why he was doing that. So
he might have gotten that second one, but yeah, that's just another cherry for it.
poor judgment there from the boy who's got no head coaching job right now. Last thing, and meant to mention this when we were talking about DJ Reader eating that turkey, but Monty giving us a memeable moment with the carrot and the little dance, the little shimmy dance. I guess he's a vegan.
So is he vegan or does he just do it for fun?
He may have just done it for the memes. I don't know. He's kind of like a sneaky, funny guy. I don't know if you guys caught him and Gibbs crashing Jared's interview. That was hilarious. All-time moment right there between the three of them. Jared had a great answer at the end. And Monty was like, I'm not here. That speaks to the chemistry that this team has. And but yeah, I guess at one point he was a vegan, and I don't know now if he is a vegan. Maybe that's why he's only munching on the carrot, but it was a funny moment nonetheless. All right. We had the cleats, talked about the cleats. Let's talk about the predictions, and then what else we've got for the show here in the latter half. Touched on the forced turnovers. They're down to 7th. They've got 19 still. They're 7th ranked in that. 4th down conversions are at 65% this year. And then top 5 offense, top 5 defense for you guys. 2nd in offense in terms of yards. 1st in scoring still maintain that, especially after the Ravens didn't score much today. They're 11th in defense, still pretty solid there. 4th in points against, and 1st, and continue to be 1st in 3rd down conversions even after they gave up quite a few against the Bears. Nowhere near their 3 per game like they were doing, but they're still sitting solid there. I think, right? Yeah, they're still 11th. It looks like after the games today, they didn't move there. I can't find the total defense. 3rd down, here it is. 3rd down conversions per games. Yes, they're still number 1. Tennessee's number 2 at 3.8. Detroit 3.7 after a little bump this week. Guarantees. I had a win after Thanksgiving as one of my guarantees, so we can cross that off the list. Yeah, that's Lions Bears. You guys got any more on Lions Bears before we close out the show? Talk a little bit about Week 13.
I don't want to sound grumpy. I'm happy they got the win. It was nice. It was nice. It's nice to have a sustained, good, happy Thanksgiving day. Whereas normally we have to lean on the food a ton. Now we got to split the happiness between food and Lions football.
Mitchell, absolutely right. And Ben, old Mr. Dan Campbell really kind of put it into perspective for us too. We got to stop grading the wins. You get 11 or 10 of them in a row, don't grade them.
Let me ask you guys, what was the best thing you ate on Thanksgiving?
We'll do a 2-parter. We'll hit your question too after this one, Andrew, to the shareholders about the order of our meals. We've got to give it to the cheesy potatoes. Those are always a favorite.
Oh, okay.
Lady Lion number 3 whooped up some bomb cheesy potatoes.
So follow up, what does she sprinkle on top?
I may have to cut this part. I don't
No,
know. She went with a little vegan cheese. Shout out to Monty, a little vegan cheese from Trader Joe's, because that's all they had. So we had to get the vegan cheese. They were out of everything else.
Yeah, but what's the crunchy on top?
Ooh, I don't know if there was. It was a little bit of the potatoes were cut up. Watch that happen. Cheese. There's another element to them as well.
What's going on down there in the South? What kind of cheesy potatoes are these?
They're not Midwest cheesy potatoes. I'll say that.
Andrew,
they're a little different, but they're still great.
Yeah, Andrew, what does your family do for the crumbly on top? You know what I'm talking about? There's always a crunchy on top, right?
We had mashed potatoes, dude.
No, just cheesy potatoes in general. Now I'm going way off track here.
We don't make cheesy potatoes in this household.
Damn.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. It's not a staple. I tell you what, though, the brother coming in from the top rope. Let me finish this. Chorizo stuffing.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Tell me more.
That needs to be in the South there. That was top tier. He had us with a regular stuffing.
Love chorizo.
And some chorizo stuffing. That was top tier. We've had that for breakfast the last couple days as well. That was real good. Yep, and then we had some green bean casserole with some mushrooms in there too. Oh.
I like that. I was gonna say that I probably had we did traditional stuffing, but it's always like sage sausage, so it's got that little extra kick to it. But the stuffing this year was unreal. And I'm always a dark meat turkey guy, so that always delivers.
I
All
don't
right.
discriminate.
And good for you.
Andrew, do you have a question for the shareholders as far as the order of their Thanksgiving Day?
Oh yeah. Kind of odd. I always wonder though. What do you guys do? Are you guys a meal and then roll it in to sit on the couch and relax and watch the game, or do you watch the game and then kind of make yourself feel better with some food since we're used to kind of a streak on losses for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, but
Mitch?
so we always start eating at like noon. We eat early. So we kind
Love
of
it.
watching the first half of the game while eating, which is fine. There's TV in the room, so it's all good. Um, and then it's usually like just trying to stay awake for the second half of the game, which, to be honest, for most Thanksgiving games is kind of like I just get so upset. I just go to take a nap anyways. So yeah, it's hard to stay. So we do both, I think. We do like I do both. I eat and watch the first half, and then by the time the game is over, I think we usually start to like snack because you just eat all day on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's the turkey sandwiches in the rolls from earlier.
Yep.
For the
Yep.
for the second game.
Gotta have the Hawaiian rolls. Yeah. Yeah. We were after the games, here in Central Time Zone. Game starts at 11:30, so it's a little early action for us here. So yeah, it was a little later action here. And then, previous times in Michigan, it was always my dad and I going to the games. Shout out to my dad. We were at that game in 2016 when they won. Many, many moons ago. In the following years too for the losses, which not as fun, but so that was always a late dinner too because we wouldn't get it till we got back from Detroit. So and sometimes we were catching Beale City play the next day, so we were rolling that into a hotel stay that night. So maybe no Thanksgiving, maybe it was just the hot dog beer combo at the DT Energy pregame. So yeah, it's a little different for us. We're a little sporadic here in our family. We've had it at all hours of the day. It really depends for us. So shareholders, vote down below. What is your game plan for your family in your specific instances? We'd love to know. All right, last things before we talk about Week 13 here. Touch down a little bit, boys. The Chiefs are very beatable. I mean,
Every week.
I told you guys a couple weeks ago. I continue to think they surrender that one seed to the Bills. I think the Bills take the one seed, and I think the Chiefs are going to lose a couple here down the stretch.
Bills are hot, and they just got their All-Pro linebacker back. They look good. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens tonight. But Bills look
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah, and that game's already kicked off. Did we get snow for that game? We were hoping for it.
Looked like it. They're down 3-0 right now. Whoops, spoke that into existence, didn't I?
Whoa, dang, oof. It's the Chiefs. I think they're beatable. I think they play the Steelers, and they've got the Chargers. I think they drop a couple here, and the Bills biggest matchup's the Lions. So that's going to be a pivotal for both the Lions and the Bills on the other side. That's a big AFC NFC matchup. Could be a Super Bowl preview, as they said. Last thing, boys, we talked about how we've got snow, confirmed snow. Love that. Can't wait to tune in. Jameis Winston and Jamal Williams podcast. Who says no? This is something I thought of the other day.
It's gonna be awesome.
Think about
that would be great. It would be. That's what I meant to say. It would be awesome.
Both with the same initials, J-Dub, Jameis Winston, Jamal Williams.
I'm not sure
A little
Jamal
double
would
action.
vibe with Jameis all that much though.
Yeah, I feel like somebody's just got to pose questions to Jameis though,
Right, he needs
because you got to
cue.
catch him on his toes.
Yeah, you can't script what he's saying. Like he's got to be organic with it, and maybe he needs
Exactly.
that cue.
Absolutely. Like when he was giving his pregame speeches, he didn't think of that walking out the tunnel. It was the vibe. It was the energy of the day. It all came to him.
100%. He's smelling the air and he's pulling it from there. So, yeah, Week 13. Yeah, Cowboys beat the Giants. Who cares? Packers beat the Dolphins. That one stunk. That was way colder than we realized. So that one's tough. Chiefs beat the Raiders, although very much could have lost that game. Chargers and Falcons was a close one, 17-13. Chargers continue to live in low-scoring games. Big win for the Chargers in the AFC as they try to keep pace with the Chiefs. Falcons continue to be that team that has a negative point differential, but with a positive winning record. Steelers put up 44 against the Bengals, like we were talking pre-show. Most points we've ever seen from the Steelers, I think, in a long, long time. AFC North battle that puts up that many points, very uncharacteristic. The over-under was 46.5, and Pittsburgh almost got that themselves. Cardinals-Vikings. This is the one where it started to hurt today. On a stress-free day where the Lions weren't playing, you could just kind of sit back and watch. Cardinals were leading that game for, I think, most of the game, or if not all of it, until the very end. Man, what are we doing, Cardinals? What are we doing? Well, you should have gone for it on the 5-yard line. The Vikings win another close game. I'm just so upset. When will it end? When will the Vikings stop getting away with this?
It is what it is. I'm This is tough to say because they're in the NFC North, but I am more worried about the Packers, and I'm in the NFC much more worried about the Saquon Barkleys.
Yes, 100% agree.
And that's fair enough, but I mean, my God, they got to win some of these. It's the same thought about the Chiefs. At some point, they got to drop some of these tight games, right?
Yeah, the pin's got to fall the other way. Absolutely. I think it's next week. We've got the Kirk Cousins rematch, revenge game where the Falcons take on the Vikings. I like that one. I like the Falcons to win that one. Kirk against his old team. I think that's an opportunity there, but the Vikings have such an easy schedule. I mean, they play the Bears again. The biggest thing is they play the Packers again. So one of those teams is going to lose, or maybe we'll get that tie we've all been hoping for. But that's the good news for Lions fans is those teams are going to play each other, hopefully beat up on each other. And like you said, Mitch, Eagles are looking real hot with a win over the Ravens today. We all had the Ravens. Was really hoping the Ravens would show it. Had the lead for most of the game, but Philly does come out victorious 24-19. That's tough.
In another version of this podcast, Justin Tucker is the BAM's Player of the Week for the Eagles version of this podcast.
Yeah. Mr. Reliable, not so reliable anymore there in
Only
Baltimore.
70% of the time.
Works every time, 70% of the time for Justin Tucker. Especially after his Texas Longhorns won yesterday, too. It's a tough look. Bucks win in overtime over the Panthers. Big win for their season as they try to find a way to win out, basically have to win out to keep pace with the Falcons and take that division. Rams beat the Saints. I don't think I saw more than a few snaps of that game. Texans, Jags had the big fight, the brawl, the ejections. Commanders torched the Titans for most of the game, let them back in a little bit at one point. Seahawks, big win over the Jets. Jets are now officially, I think, eliminated, even though we eliminated them like 3 weeks ago. Their season's officially done. We'll see what they do with Aaron Rodgers. That'll be curious. Jets
Did
lose
you guys
off
see
of
how
a
long
bye.
was that pick six? That was like a 94-yard big boy pick six today. That was incredible. Shout out Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that was crazy. When I saw the highlights of this game, I saw the 99-yard kick return, and I thought that was the Seahawks in the dark uniforms, followed by the 94-yard touchdown by the defense there, and that was also crazy. Somebody's gonna have a little late night cereal to end their day, apparently.
I thought that was a
That
wrench.
was a crazy uniform combination. I love to see that one. Love to see Aaron Rodgers just losing in general.
Oh, that makes the day oh so sweeter. Even with a Vikings win and an Eagles win, it is sweet to see Aaron Rodgers continue to get the life sucked out of him. And, I think his days in the Jets uniform are done. Pause. Colts beat the Patriots, although the Patriots were very feisty in that game.
What game did you watch today?
You guys didn't see the same stream I saw? Apparently not. This is a family podcast. This is Thanksgiving episode, pal. Come on now. Come on. Yes. And then we've got the Bills in primetime taking on the 49ers in a snow game. So we're going to try to get over to that
put a
game.
Score on the board.
Let's go. Bills Mafia. And the 49ers as we know them. Hopefully that makes the Lions versus 49ers games a little less interesting in terms of diaper action. So that's it, folks. We will preview Lions versus Packers on another early edition of the Lions Share podcast with the Thursday game. We'll be uploading that on Tuesday for the Lions-Packers preview for the game on Thursday. Of course, it's going to be on Prime with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. We'll touch on that in the next episode. But remember, folks, another short week for the Lions, although they did play last Thursday, so they do get a full week off, but they are back in action again in just a few days here as we enter December and week 14 in the NFL. 5 games remaining. Let's go, Lions. Let's stay healthy out there, boys. Come on, and continue to chip away these wins as they march on to hopefully secure that number 1 seed. And we'll touch about playoff odds on the next episode. I'm out. Let's go, Lions. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving.